The guard of Porta di Ferro with the two-handed sword is a bit special. You have to know some things about it that aren't immediately obvious and not very well described. Porta di Ferro Larga is obvious in that standing in Marozzo's way. Now, Marozzo has a way of standing that's not the way of Manciolino, not the way of Anonimo even, whereby the front foot, as usual, will point forward, but the rear foot, Marozzo has turned more to the front than any other Bolognese master. So first of all, starting with a Porta di Ferro stance, wide, and turning that rear foot more to the front. Now, Larga is going to be, of course, down. Think of this as the end point of a full mandrito that goes to the floor, and as you can see, my sword and hands are to the inside of my stance. On my left side, blade angled as if I just cut through. Now, Porta di Ferro Stretta, this is more challenging to understand. Porta di Ferro Stretta, first of all, the same way of standing with your legs. First of all, your sword should not be in close to your body, where your handle, the grip, the pommel is inside, past here near your stomach. It needs to be pushed out in front of your body, where you can see daylight here behind the sword. Now, Marozzo's got this illustrated to where the sword is essentially parallel to the ground. But there's an important feature here that is easily overlooked, that is not pointing straight ahead forward, which doesn't feel exactly comfortable either. But the point will go significantly to your dominant side. So my point goes to my right, this much. Now, let's talk about why and what we can do with that. First of all, if I'm in that guard, now my opponent has the ability to attack me, especially if I've pressed him or I've gotten close. He can thrust, he can hit with a true edge, he can make a thrust with the point. And in this guard, I can close that line off and go right into the face, into Guardia di Entrare. So, but if I'm straight ahead, that changes the entire situation significantly. He's not going to do that. He's going to try to have to deal with the sword. Now, if I don't want my opponent to come toward me, if I want to hold them back, which is contrary to the Bolognese philosophy, I can point it at him. But if I do that, I'm going to use Porta di Ferro Alta, because in that guard, we see the point straight at the face. If I need to hold him back, this is what I will do. If I want to have him come in, which is more the norm for us, I'm going to give him that opening. And here you see pairing that way. If I get a cut, I can do the same thing. I can step in different. There are various ways to step with something like that. I can step into that with the front foot. I can take my front foot back and make the same action. So Porta di Ferro Stretta, you are over to the side. And there's another important reason we know this. There are two plays, one in the first assault, part 5, and one in the second assault, I believe it's part 4, where we have to beat the opponent's sword while their sword is in Porta di Ferro Stretta. So if my opponent is in Porta di Ferro Stretta, and he's pointing straight at my face, whether his blade is parallel to the floor or angled slightly up, more so if you show it, especially if this is depicted as Marozzo illustrates it with the blade parallel to the ground and he's pointing it straight ahead. I have to beat this. Now, in one case, I have to beat it with a tramozzone, passing my left foot. There's simply not a way to hit that even at all or satisfactorily. If I get it at all, which is difficult, it's not going to be good if I can get anything on it. If, however, it's pointed as we believe it to be to the right side, now when I make that action, I actually can strike it quite well. The other case, in the second assault, from the same guard, I've got to hit it with a falso. And likewise, again, if it's pointed straight ahead, and I try to hit it with a falso, if I get it at all, it's just not satisfactory. I don't get any good angle on it. if I can even hit it. How could that be what he intended the guard to look like if he's telling me that I've got to hit it? But if it's angled, as we believe it to be, now I can actually get an angle on it. I can knock it up quite satisfactorily with a rising falso. So, for these and some other reasons, we know Porta di Ferro Stretta isn't like this. It's here. Larga to the left, stretta to the right, alta straight ahead. And all these would also have their equivalent positions in cinghiale Porta di Ferro, some of which are explicitly called out by Marozzo. Larga, stretta, alta. So incorporate this into your training, whether you're doing forms or whether you're doing free play. And you're using stretta, don't hold it in close and don't point it up at the face. That's not the way the guard is intended to be used, and it doesn't work with the material in the way that Marozzo intended it. Okay, so